Fair enough.
Makes sense. Anyway, yes, we did manage to wrap up our vetoes, and we are able to get into our TVP series, our first non-mirror matchup of the evening. We're already in the quarterfinals. Jeez. This blew by. The early stages of the tournament, they just blow on by. But we are here on Pylon LE. LE, of course, standing for Lemon. Efficiency. Lemon efficiency. That's because, you know, lemons, they're really good at a lot of different things, you know? They taste good. They smell good. You can use it to get rid of rust, I heard. Here at the top left-hand corner of the map, so I want to go all the way in. Also, that's versatility and not really efficiency, so...
It's also a Taiwanese Protoss player.
But you know what? You also have... We only have one. That is true. And, you know, Lemon, he's also very efficient. He plays Terran, he plays... That's also versatility. That's not... Anyway, top left-hand corner of the map, we have our red Terran player. He is, of course, going to be representing Platinum Heroes, very efficient in his defenses, but he can also attack. That's also being versatile. God damn it. We have Nicoract.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, the Team Liquid Protoss, representing Team Liquid. It is SKillous, hailing from Nazgul's basement. I like to believe that he has actually surpassed Nazgul and is actually in the proper home. Actually kicked Nazgul down to the basement.
He got promoted to the attic.
Yeah, exactly. He is above. He is the homeowner now. Let's go. But yeah, SKillous, he has become a regular in our tournaments. It's really cool to see.
The master bedroom, yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
He has full bathroom privileges now.
He has been more of a regular competitor in our tournaments. It's been great to see. He's often one to vie for that #1 spot and even bring down some of the other bigger Korean names as well. So we'll see if he can continue that reign. Speaking of his opponent, I would say his best matchup, his strongest matchup is Terran versus Protoss. Every now and then Nicoract, he does pop off, he does cause some big upsets. We've actually seen him take down players like Hero and like MaxPax in the past. Not saying he does it on a regular basis, not at all, but every now and then he pops off and he can really recap.
Yeah, it's all those Fire Grow Cups and whatnot, you know, facing off against Strange, facing off against Art, there's a lot of them. GG Machine. He is very, very well versed when it comes to TVP. Sickness. Is that the name of another CIS Protoss player?
Yeah.
Are they a new one?
Yeah, he's new.
Yeah, not too familiar with them.
No, he is new.
Alright. I have to tune into some new Fire Grow Clubs then.
A lot of new Protosses there, by the way. So, but yeah, for sure.
Like EK, that's actually an old one.
But he's been forged through the Fire Grow Cup flames, as you mentioned, and again, even SKillous taking part in the Fire Grow Cup every now and then as well. You know, I'm sure these two players are very familiar with each other. We do have a very unique build though. We have a 2-1-1 from Nicoract, a rare sight in TVP.
I like this a lot. Yeah, you say it's a rare sight, and you are correct. There was a very, very brief, I think, like 1 week when the patch first came back, when I think a lot of Terran players were kind of experimenting around, and I was like, 2-1-1, we are so back! And then that week ended, and Terran players were like, yeah, this ain't working out. So, you know, here's hoping that maybe Nicoract did figure something, did realize something that the other Terran players didn't when it came to 2-1-1.
Yeah, I mean, this can be a really cheeky build, and it has a lot of potential. As you mentioned, it was sometime last year where it was in the meta, where a lot of players were actually like mixing it in every now and then it kind of died out really fast and really quick. Meanwhile, full scout hallucination goes in, and SKillous, he sees the 2-1-1, he sees the researching stim. More importantly, he also knows lack of tanks are available as well, so SKillous can try to abuse this, can try to punish this, and slow this down.
Yeah, obviously doesn't want to blink right on top of these Marines, but he also knows that very, very shortly, Nicoract is going to be pushing out. He is going to be loading them into his medevacs, so there is a window of opportunity here for SKillous where he can wreak a lot of havoc. I don't think he's going to be able to deny Stim, but take out an add-on, just cause a little bit of pressure on Nicoract.
Yeah, I would say like in this dynamic in TvP, when you go for a 2-on-1, this timing, this Stim timing, this double Nicoract drop, it has to do damage, right? It has to do some damage across the map. Otherwise, you just start to fall behind. The biggest downside to this is that your tank count is going to be lower than normal. I see 2 more Raxes on the way though. No third CC yet. Nicoract can turn this into a 2-base all-in.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. He also has the option of pulling the boys if he so wanted to. I was gonna say, SKillous actually played this out really, really well with what you just said in mind, that you are going to be behind as a Terran player if you're going for 2-on-1 in a TvP. So SKillous, aware of that, just sets up back home and just tries to keep Nicoract on his side of the map for as long as possible. The additional 2 Raxes, though, will allow Nicoract to kind of turn the tables and change the dynamic pretty shortly, though, once his upgrades finish up, once he gets... Well, I was going to say once he gets another tank, but he actually isn't producing any right now.
Yeah, he went for Concussive Shell. He went for an add-on swap into Concussive Shell for his Marauders, and what's important, no add-ons. No add-ons on these Raxes. This does look like a 2-base all-in. As you mentioned, he may choose to pull the boys, but this is so committed here from Nicoract. It's going to be all or nothing. He does move out.
Yeah, it's always a tough decision, right? You know, you're already going to be very committed with this push, so do you want to pull the boys and just put all your eggs in that basket, or do you want to, you know, leave open the possibility that you can at least take out a base and deal some economic damage without ending the game, and then come back from there? Tank extremely exposed and will get picked off by these Stalkers, but the Stalkers themselves do blink forward a little bit too soon. Does get caught by the flank that Nicoract was already preparing.
The bait?
Beautiful, brilliant ambush here. Yeah, from Nicoract. He knew he didn't need that tank. He might as well use it as bait.
The tank went down for 7 Stalkers. That was a much better trade for Nicoract, and now suddenly SKillous, he cannot slow down the push. Nicoract, he's sending everything across the map. As a reminder, this is a 2-base all-in. He's pushing him forward. +1 is done in 10 seconds.
Yeah, and look at all of these Zealots out here for SKillous as well. Nicoract well aware that a tank will actually be a detriment in this situation.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about that buy, all about the Marines and the Marauders. And so far, it does catch out another Zealot. Colossus production has begun. 1 Colossus will be the end of this push. By the way, SKillous just has to buy time for the Colossi.
Yeah, we have a very delicate dance back and forth right now from Nicoract and SKillous. Nicoract trying to draw the army outside of shield battery range. SKillous wanting to fight only at shield battery range. But that's a little bit difficult when you have that many melee units you're reliant on.
I mean, he did force out a big Stim. Stim is also going to be resources here for Nicoract, so he has to be very careful with how and when he does Stim. And again, the Colossus is almost here. The boys have arrived. Again, he's committing, but the first Colossus is here. He's made it.
Yeah, I think with only 1 Colossus though, and with all of these SCVs being pulled, there is still a chance here for Nicoract to really pull this push off. We also don't have Thermal Ants yet, bearing that in mind. It's going to be so difficult. That's a lot of Zealots that are going to be clashing with SCVs.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be difficult, and here we go. The Bio Army pushing forward. Liberators in siege up, and we do keep... Oh, we do try to keep to the fight. Yeah, true.
Yeah, only 2 Stalkers.
Yeah, only 2 Stalkers. Liberation has arrived. Zealots, they try to rush in. They get choked up in their own Sim City.
Yeah, and look at this Bio-Concave. Zealots finally getting on top of the army. Thermalet's still not quite done. Shield battery out of energy. SKillous is microing. That Colossus back brilliantly, though. No more energy on the Medivacs, and the second Colossus will put the final nail in the coffin here. SKillous takes game number 1, but it was on an absolute knife's edge.
GG.
If things were just off by 1 second, we could have seen a completely different outcome. GG here by SKillous.
GG, well played, SKillous. He does hold, he does survive. Again, some really nice moves out of Nicoract. The biggest one, of course, was baiting out those 7 stalkers. Like, the tank went down, which was brutal, but he had set up a surround, set up a flank. He was able to snipe 7 stalkers. That was a big moment for Nicoract. But as we saw, it took a little bit too long to really commit across the map. I mean, it was a hard decision because there were so many charge ults waiting for him. So stimming into charge ults is a difficult call to make. And again, he did maybe wait a little bit too long. Colossus did arrive, second Colossus as well, and SKillous did barely hold. GG.
Just barely. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, not really much more to add on to that. Like you were saying, I mean, great moves all around from both Nicoract and from SKillous. I think a very strong showing of adaptability here from both of our players. Nicoract in particular, I think he noticed just how few stalkers SKillous was working with after a while, and so he produced those 2 Liberators, which honestly I thought was going to be the final nail in the coffin there for SKillous, but I clearly wasn't paying attention to those medevacs and just how low they were on NG. SKillous able to bait out 1 too many stim packs or stim packs from Nicoract, and it really wasted a lot of that medevac energy. Was able to take him down in the end. GG. Very dynamic game number 1, and I'm excited to see what we'll see here in game number 2, where we're here on Tokamak. LE. LE, of course, standing for Long Emulsion. Long Emulsion. That's when you that's when the emulsification takes a while. So not mayonnaise, but like some other product, I imagine.
Okay.
Because you can, it's pretty quick to emulsify.
Yeah.
Right? I think so, anyway. Here at the bottom left-hand corner of the map, starting all the way. In the bottom left, we of course have our red Terran player coming out from the land of the CIS region. He, of course, is going to be representing Platinum Heroes. He is Nicoract.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player, leading the series 1-0, 1 game away from claiming the series and advancing onto the semifinals of a Team Liquid. It is SKillous.
My eyes still, once again, going to be glued to Nicoract here. Both players, so far in the tournament, showing off some very, very strong defensive play, but I think Nicoract has had a bit of first to switch up the dynamic a little bit, especially in this series. In game number 1, he opened up as the aggressor. SKillous was the defender, so I think Nicoract does want to take the initiative, but we'll see how things go. We haven't quite been able to see SKillous be aggressive yet, and I do know that SKillous is a fan of playing aggressive if he can get away with it.
For sure, for sure. When it comes to TVP, I will say that Nicoract is very often the aggressor, right? It's like not saying that he's going to 2-base all in every game, like we saw last game, but he is willing to do so, right? And he is willing to go for the kill at times as well. I would say that this map is going to be a little bit more difficult. Pylon, the rush distance by ground, and the path across the map is very direct. It's just a straight line. Just a straight line across the map. There's no twists, there's no turns. Here on Tokamak, this map is more defensive. You can secure yourself on 3 and 4 bases a lot easier on this map as opposed to on other maps. So we'll see what Nicoract's plan is going to be. Already double gas opener before the CC into Reactor Reaper Hellion.
Double Reaper and double Hellion. That's pretty committed force initially that we're going to be seeing here from Nicoract. This is not just for scouting anymore. It has to do damage.
Yeah, the goal here, as you mentioned, is economic damage from Nicoract. We'll see if SKillous is able to wall up and wall up. So far, the wall has begun here for SKillous, and Nicoract is going to be following this up, actually, with a Widowmine drop.
Yeah, so a little bit more standard, a little bit more normal here from Nicoract. Obviously, adding his own little twist here with his 3 Reapers and 2 Hellions. But other than that, I think we're going to be set for a macro game.
Yes, he does try to rush past. He's headed for the mineral lines instead of the stalkers. They're going to try to slow this down, but he will get into the main.
Yeah, he's able to get on top of one of these stalkers. Target firing is pretty good, but we do have a lot of proactively placed shield batteries here for SKillous. So, alas, Nicoract will only be able to get one probe.
Yeah, only one worker goes down. SKillous, he defends very nicely. He does deflect Nicoract, but as you mentioned, we do have that follow-up, more standard follow-up here with that mine job. We have 2 widow mines, we have the medevac, and Nicoract, he will soon zoom across the map.
Oh. Will be zooming. Gets a stalker, which is not bad, and the probe, but yeah, I guess at this point you might as well get whatever damage you can get done with your initial Reaper Hellion Force. They aren't going to be too useful. They don't scale too well as the game continues.
Exactly. They do not scale well whatsoever. Back at home, what do we have? How many gateways? 3 gates. We have 3 gate Blink Stalker out of skills. Very safe play from our Protoss player. From here, he will be expanding, taking a 3rd base. Once again, though, another probe goes out. It's going to be 3 probe kills.
Yeah, pretty long delay here on the 3rd base of SKillous. Obviously not the biggest of deals, but if you're going to be playing as a more economic Protoss player, which I think SKillous wants to be right now, it definitely helps to get them up and running early, so you can start to fortify it early as well.
Yeah, exactly, as he is delayed when it comes to that 3rd base. What are my shots going off? We get some okay damage, but now it's time to counterattack. Remember, Blink is done, a War Prism is ready, and he has 3 gateways to warp in, and he will get into the main.
Blink is done, War Prism is ready, and Nicoract was not in position at all. Once again, the tank goes down, but this time, 'twas not a bait. That's a pretty hefty loss right now for Nicoract, his only tank.
Yeah, exactly. The tank count gets reset. That means SKillous, he maintains control of the map. He can always poke back in. And behind this, remember, he's not all in. He is expanding. It's a delayed 3rd base, but he is still expanding, is still getting it up and running.
Yeah. Is delayed, but he is still expanding in a way. Nicoract not bothering to turn around. It's only 4 stalkers that are in this base. So he's going to try to pull SCVs and utilize reinforcements to deal with them, which I'm not sure is... Yeah, if Nicoract wasn't all in before, he has to be now,
100%.
Right?
Yeah, and here we go. We have the recall back home. SKillous, he's now aware of the all-in coming across the map. Link, sorry, I should say Cloak is not done, so it's going to be a Vanilla Banshee pushing on forward here. And does SKillous have enough to defend? No shield battery.
Yeah, no shield battery. Tank in a fantastic position. We also don't have Stim or a medevac, though, so that is something to keep in mind. Killing this 3rd base will be worth it if Nicoract is going to be able to expand after this. Tank goes down. Still a lot of bio, though.
Yeah, a lot of Marines left over. The Prism goes down as well, so limited micro potential here for the Protoss army. He's going for the Nexus. He's going for the kill. Can he get it? Oh!
It's so close. We don't have Sim yet, but the 3rd Nexus does, in fact, go down. Meanwhile, Nicoract, he is getting the 3rd base behind us. The probes looking very exposed. The last of these Marines. They knew that they were going to be sacrificed, but they're getting a lot done with the last moments of their lives. Huge damage already here for Nicoract.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing's looking a little bit rough. He lost a lot of SCVs, but now he's getting his own 3rd base on location. But here comes the counterattack. He has triggered a SKillous. SKillous, he will lose that 3rd base, but now it's time to try to delay the 3rd base of his opponent. But this time, Stim is done.
Yeah, Sim is Nicoract may not have a tank, but he does have a lot of Marauders, and Concussive Shell is on the way. Like you said, Sim being finished, that's a game changer right now. That will allow these bio units to catch up with the Stalkers if they try to blink away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, SKillous, he cannot get past this ramp. He cannot push up this ramp. He cannot threaten the 3rd base. So far, Nicoract, he makes his stand. I say that, but charge is now done for SKillous, and he's not done. He rebuilds a War Prism, warps in more Zealots, and now he has a more complex army to actually break this position and to push in towards the 3rd.
Yeah, I'm watching these Widow Mines right now. Like, I feel like a lot of Nicoract's defense is going to be predicated on how well these mines can either zone the army away or get some boosty connections. That was a pretty good one, and the flanking reinforcements are starting to cause quite a bit of a concave. Huge force fields, though. We can see these Marauders not doing anything in the back.
Wow, the Marauders, they get zoned away, only fighting with half his army, and it looks like SKillous, he breaks through the main force. Reinforcements are trickling in, though. Nicoract, again, he has to defend his advantage, and with that, looks like he will hold.
Yeah, gonna be losing a lot of his army, but again, these are only bio units, so pretty cheap to replace. He only loses 4 SCVs. And so while he's still behind on the worker count, he has mules. He's not too far behind when it comes to the income.
Yeah, he holds nicely here. He scans across the map. He confirms that there is an expansion. The Colossus barely outside of scan range. SKillous is going into his Colossus production, is getting into his gateway army as well. But Nicoract, I would say, in a nice position here, in a better position, bearing in mind, because of mules, he has a better economy.
Without a doubt. And now we're just kind of seeing the Terran industrial complex coming out, just pumping out unit after unit after unit.
Yeah, and Nicoract, he is now in the driver's seat. SKillous was pretty committed. He was pretty all in. He failed to do enough economic damage. And now suddenly, Nicoract, he's here to bring this home, to bring this back. SKillous now getting a 4th base, so that's not going to come into play on this defense, but he does have 2 Colossus.
And those are going to be absolutely key right now in SKillous' army. He is behind by a whole freaking lot when it comes to RE supply. 20 supply down, as a matter of fact, but 2 Colossus, that's enough to start one-shotting Marines. That's enough to... Oh, do 2 Colossus one-shot Marines? I think with +1. They will.
Yeah. Mate, they will melt a Marine army, let me tell you. Marauders, they built a tank, though, and here we go. We do see Nicoract slimming on forward. Can he close distance? Can he get on top of the Colossus? Alas, he barely cannot. Is pulled away. 2nd starport's on the way. Ghost Academy as well. Nicoract, he's building up towards a longer game state.
Yeah, slowly but surely trying to draw these Colossus out of position, trying to get a couple of volleys on top of them using the Vikings. Oh! Almost a very juicy mine shot, but yeah, SKillous able to catch it in time, able to blink away.
Yeah, it does blink away in time. Likewise, behind this, SKillous, he is now up to triple Colossus. The Colossus count is reaching critical mass. Meanwhile, Nicoract, again, because of the better economy, he still maintains the better army supply here, and he's making 4 Vikings at a time.
Yeah, if he can get these, if he can zone away some of these Stalkers and get on top of these Colossus, I think Nicoract is going to be in a fantastic position. Once again, like you were mentioning, these are expensive Protoss units. Colossus costs a lot of money. And because of that, there, I would say, is just barely enough of a buffer here for SKillous.
Oh, exactly, as Nicoract, he does catch SKillous out of position. The base goes down, 7 probes as well. And now he has the Concave. He has the Arc and the Colossus. They're going down one after the other. He sims in.
Yeah, starting to target fire them down. He has mostly Marauders remaining, and with that, he is able to take down all of those high-tech Protoss units. Lifts up the rest of his bio, because, you know, there's only 1 Stalker left. Just boosts away.
Yeah, he boosts away. He cripples the main army. He takes down the 3rd expansion. He takes down 7 probes as well. SKillous, he's double expanded to try to catch back up into this. Likewise, SKillous still down in the economy as well, and he has to start from scratch. He has to rebuild his Colossus from ground 1, ground 0.
Yeah, from only a single robo facility as well.
Yeah, no double robo production. Doesn't have the economy for it. He doesn't have the gas for it. Again, he just lost bases. He lost workers. He cannot sustain those kind of losses here. And now Nicoract, he has a massive supply lead. He's going in for the kill.
Massive supply lead, well, not necessarily a massive tech lead, but he has units that he needs right now. Sims on forward, and yeah, these Zealots are going to start to melt to the Bioforce.
Exactly, the base is going to go down, and there's nothing to stop him. There's 1 Colossus, there's 2 Stalkers, 1 Sentry, and a handful of Zealots, and this army just pales in comparison to what Nicoract has.
Yeah, no anti-air, or very little anti-air, I should say. Vikings about to make very, very short work of the Colossus. Going to be able to camp on top of the robo facility as well. Well, would have been able to if not for these Stalkers.
Yeah, exactly. Do you see that 1 Colossus, by the way, is putting in a lot of work. A lot of Marines are going to be going down, and SKillous trading as efficiently as possible. He's holding the line here. He's holding on as best he can. 2nd Colossus does arrive as well, and I mean, he's barely holding on, barely. Oh god, spoke too soon.
Yeah, but then we do have the target firing on that 1 Colossus. Going to be able to take it out. 2nd Colossus did pop out, as you mentioned, and now with that, SKillous loses a base, and still isn't in a great position, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Still down in economy. We do see Nicoract on 4 bases getting fully operational. Nicoract, he rallies across the map. A little bit of supply were in Medvacs, but here we go. Here come the reinforcements. He has Marines, he has Ghosts, he has EMPs, and more importantly, he has Vikings once again.
Yeah, SKillous now going to be switching into Disruptor production, a little bit cheaper and potentially a bit more effective, especially against all of these Marauders, but it is not as reliable as Colossus. GG is called, and Nicoract going to be taking that game, going to be taking us to game number 3, the ace match.
Let's go. GG, well played. We are going to the ace match. We did mention earlier that, again, Nicoract, his strongest matchup is Terran versus Protoss, and we have seen Nicoract take down players like MaxPax, like Hero. He does punch up in this matchup, and SKillous, I would put alongside them. You know, SKillous, he is top 3 Protoss in Europe. He has, I would say there's like definitely like a skill or even like a notoriety disparity between these players, but Nicoract, he fights back.
Yeah, top 3 Protoss in Europe, arguably top 7 in the world. I mean, if we look at it in the world, it's a little bit more difficult. But yeah, like you were mentioning, Nicoract in this matchup in TVP, he has this fantastic ability to punch up, and SKillous, he got punched.
Up.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, very well played here by Nicoract, tying up the series, and can he cause the upset? And it would be an upset again. SKillous, he is a Sparkling Tuna Cup champion. Nicoract, less so. So we'll see if he can bounce back. We'll see if he can claim the series.
Yeah. Indeed, we shall. Nicoract, not a Sparkling Tuna Cup champion?
And I believe
He's
not.
had to at least have made it into the finals a couple times, right?
He has made it to the finals. On momento.
There we go. Yeah, very consistent participant in these is what I will say, and see if that pays off today in particular. As here we start to have it, we're going to be loading into our next map, our ace match of this particular best of 3 quarterfinals match. We're going to be loading into Persephone, LE, or if you prefer, Persephone, LE. LE, of course, standing for Snake. No, wait. What's
What did I come back to? What are you talking about?
Lorax. Equivalent. Lorax equivalent. That's like when you want to make a story, but you can't because Dr. Seuss has the copyright. So you do something that's equivalent to a Lorax, but isn't a Lorax. Call it a Rax low. In the top right, left-hand corner of the map, starting all the way to the top left, we of course have our red Terran player. Very, very aggressive in this matchup, and so far has been yielding him results. He is of course going to be representing Platinum Heroes. We have Nicoract.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, the Team Liquid Protoss, being forced into a tied series here. He's favored to make a deep run in this tournament, but struggling in the quarterfinals. Can he bring it back? It is SKillous.
Master of the house now, from what I've heard.
Yeah, there you go. He is now living in the attic. Does rule over the land, and we'll see how Nicoract does adjust. Already double gas opener. If you remember last game, we also had a double gas opener out of Nicoract going into a faster, or going into Reactor to Reaper Hellion into a Widowmine drop. So we'll see if we see something similar here as well. Meanwhile, also welcome to Persephone, where we do have some healing pads, some gold bases, some interesting features to the new map.
Yeah. And we've actually seen players utilize them. That was a little bit of a concern I think a lot of people had, was even though we have all these additional features, will players actually make use of them, or will they decide not to? But so far, I think most of them have caught on. Most of them have realized that, yeah, Healing pad is pretty advantageous at certain points of the game.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen it used a little bit, and hopefully we get to see more of it as well. Meanwhile, just like the last game, again, we actually Reaper Hellions. So we have additional Reapers, we have additional Hellions on the way. We'll see if we can get some early game damage done as well, and most likely following this up with some drop play. SKillous back in for the first time this series, not going for a Twilight Council.
Oh, interesting. So, yeah, opting for the Stargate opening this time instead. He has a plan. That's as much as I really remember from analysis. You know, Twilight Council openings a little bit more versatile, but when you're opening up with Stargate, it's because you have something very specific in mind. You have an objective in mind.
Yeah, there are two ways to open Stargate. You can open up Oracle and even double Oracle to get damage done across the map, but here we do have a Phoenix base opener instead. Now, typically this is reserved for bigger maps and larger maps just because you are vulnerable to stim timings. As you can imagine, against mass stim Marines, Phoenixes don't really help you too much. They hurt you more than anything because it means that there's no blink, and it means that we have delayed production as well. But here, this is working quite nicely. He hasn't seen anything across the map, but this is a 1-1-1. This is not a Widowmine drop follow-up. We're going into Cloak Banshee.
This is once again very aggressive coming out here from SKillous. This is going to be stimless timing with Banshee support. It is going to get right on top of SKillous's face very, very soon. This is a scenario, yeah, when Phoenixes are advantageous, but like you were saying, you have to be very, very careful. You have the ability with these Phoenixes to lift up the tanks and completely shut down the zoning potential of Terran, but if the tanks are close by to Marines, they will die very, very shortly. The ship's passing the night, and I think Nicoract was the one who got the alert. Yeah, not sure if SKillous was really looking that direction.
Yeah, he wasn't paying attention, but he does get into the middle line. 3 SCVs already going to be going down. He is aware now. Quick, he's going for the tank.
Yeah, that's not the correct Phoenix. That's not the correct Phoenix, Nicoract, and so the tank will fall in the end. Banshee, though, putting in a lot of work. No detection.
Yeah, no detection, not yet. There we go. Cloak is activated. Observer is going to be on the way, but that's a late observer here from SKillous. So probes are going down. May have lost a tank back at home, which was a brutal loss, but that's going to be 9+ workers going down.
Yeah, finally, shield battery does get up and running, so there shouldn't be any more probes going down here for SKillous.
As detection has arrived, a decent damage dealt by that Banshee forces back the Phoenixes, but Nicoract, can he keep this aggression going? We have more Raxes on the way. He has to rebuild his tank count, and SKillous, he just takes a third.
Just like so, yeah. He knows that this is window to expand. Nicoract is going to be focusing a lot more on his own macro back at home, but obviously SKillous doesn't want to dawdle too long.
Thank God. As this time the Marine count is high enough that it does zone away SKillous, so the tank will survive. Meanwhile, a second Banshee has arrived across the map, but this time there's plenty of Stalkers and plenty of detection.
Yeah, this Banshee only going to be able to take out one singular probe.
Oh.
You know, while that's going on, we do have a move out across the map from Nicoract. Or do we?
Yeah, he does mass up his army. He does think about moving out across the map, but he thinks better of it. The first Colossus has already arrived, and Nicoract, he will pull back for the time being. I mean, it looks like he thinks on waiting on his upgrades, which I think is definitely respectable here. Waiting for stim.
Wait for stim. Wait for your 2 medevacs to come out. You know, don't get too ahead of yourself here. It's not like a second Colossus is going to pop out. Oh, wait, I'm just kidding. It is like a second Colossus is going to pop out, but even still, you have a much better chance of fighting 2 Colossus with stim and medevacs than you do fighting 1 Colossus with neither of those, with no medevacs or stim.
Exactly, but this does look very committed on 2 bases. No third CC yet, so this is a 3-1-1 setup. Viking production has begun, and this is going to be a very committed move out here from Nicoract. And we'll see if he's able to outposition SKillous as, the Observer is ready, though, and SKillous, he sees the army.
Yeah, going to be repositioning himself very, very quickly. Colossus looking a little bit exposed. Yeah, but that's just way too many Marines without Marauder support. Combat shield's also not quite done here for Nicoract, so he has to be very, very careful of how he wants to engage this.
Yeah, he's slowly pushing forward, getting within range of the pylon. We do see the initial pylon going to be going down, and SKillous is just biding his time, waiting for more reinforcements. Charge is not done, so it's not going to be easy to collapse on this position.
That it will not be. Really good use of these Marauders, keeping his Marines way back into reserves. Colossus barely tickled Marauders, if we're being honest.
Oh my god, exactly. And the Colossus, they take a lot of volleys here from the tanks. Tanks, they're going for the expansion as well. The Nexus, it's about to go down.
Yeah, I don't see a way for SKillous to be able to save this. And just like that, mission accomplished. Nicoract, I don't think, can really push further deeper into this, and he is well aware of that, so he is just going to be regrouping and not going for any hasty maneuvers.
Third CC? Yeah, he just calms things down. He backs off. Third CC is on the way. SKillous down to 2 bases. Nicoract does have the economic advantage. Nicoract, he doesn't have to force his way into this. And again, pushing into 3 Colossus is not an easy thing to do, especially because Charge is now done. Charge now complete for SKillous.
Yeah, and he's looking to make advantage of that, or to take advantage of that fact, and will try to go for a couple of run-bys here and there. Once again, Nicoract, great damage being dealt, but he still needs time for his economy to really get up and running.
Yeah,
this is a perfect window for SKillous.
It really is. As Elsa get into the mineral lines, SCV's going to be going down. Nicoract, he races back home. SCVs are going to be falling, and this will alleviate some of that pressure. This will give SKillous some time to breathe.
Yeah, forces the army back home. Actually gets quite a lot of economic damage. Starting to really even things out when it comes to the income.
Yeah, 10 SCV kills. SKillous, he takes his 3rd base. Now going for the 4th as well, expanding away from his opponent. So SKillous, if given time, he can recover. But because of Nicoract's lead, this is where we do have to look at the supply here. Nicoract, he has a massive army lead. He has a terrifying force to work with. And a lot of this is because, remember, he didn't really lose much in his push because he was so careful with it, right? He was so careful with his Marines. He did preserve his army over time.
Yeah, those high-tech Protoss units have not gone down. He's got 3 Colossus, and he's working on Disruptor production and Archon production.
Yeah, he's working on them, but here we go. Here comes a massive stim. The Colossus are exposed. Archon, they morph in just in time.
Yeah, not a great concave here for Nicoract. Actually losing a lot of his bio before they can really get in position.
Yeah, he has to back off. Zellerama gets across the map, will delay some reinforcements. Shouldn't get too much damage, but once again, Nicoract, he's forced back home. And once again, SKillous is buying time to build up his forces. As you mentioned, now building up his Disruptor count.
Yeah, when you're on 4 bases, it's not necessarily ideal for the Protoss player, but it is enough, just about enough, to start sustaining yourself and getting, you know, a variety of splash damage sources.
Yeah, no Storm, but Disruptors, they will do the trick. We have Blink on the way, +2 is almost done for SKillous, as you mentioned, getting fully saturated on 4 bases. And Nicoract, earlier, he did have an advantage, did have that lead. Not anymore. He's being forced into a longer game state, and SKillous, he is stabilizing.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
Yeah, so we do see that SKillous is gaining map control. He fans out his ults, fans out his observers, keeping an eye on everything that is going on the map, making sure there's no hidden move out. Now, Nicoract, he is also taking up as well. Ghost production has now begun for the Terran.
Now we're just reaching our milestones here in the tech tree. Gonna go for Ghost versus Archons. We're gonna go for... I think it's pretty much the main interaction, actually, in TVP. But
the Vikings? Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be on them to avoid the Archons and Stalkers and try to get a better angle on the Colossus as well. But we'll see how these armies are going to interact. As here we go, Nicoract, he does a push out, and he does run into SKillous.
Yeah, kind of out of position, too, so able to pick off a couple of Zealots, but now... this is where SKillous wants to fight. I'm keeping my eye on that healing pad.
Yeah, the healing pad can be a factor here. We do see Nicoract getting a better angle, going for the Colossus, then it goes up.
Yeah, we'll pick off a couple of bio units. SKillous being very careful of those Colossus. The last thing he wants to do is to have them out of position and let them get volleyed by these Vikings.
Yeah, nice EMPs from Nicoract covering those Archons. First Archon does go down. Likewise, he has a better concave view on top of the ramp, but there are just so many Zealots.
Yeah, coming for a massive flank. Another Purification over, taking out 2 more ghosts.
Yeah, 2 more ghosts go down. Nice hold position micro out of SKillous, and he does make use of the healing pad, and he tops up the Colossus. Let's go.
So that's a question that I had that is now answered. Yes, you can fit Colossus in the healing pad despite the air blockers.
There you go.
I imagine they kind of like scrunch down a little, scooch down a little.
Yeah. To make sure they don't hit their head on the blocker. True. But SKillous, he tops up his army, takes a dominant fight, and SKillous, he's maxed out.
Is maxed out indeed, and will be applying a lot of pressure on Nicoract's 4th. Nicoract still needs a little bit more time, still needs a little bit more Vikings, a little bit more Ghosts, and of course 2-2 finishing up would be nice as well.
Yeah, the 2-2 upgrades are still on the way, but SKillous is pushing in here, and now Nicoract, he's catching up when it comes to that supply, but that's still 3 disruptors for Nicoract. The first never goes off.
Won't quite get much.
Does it graze those Marauders? The army is zoned away. Now the Zeltec going to the Mineral Nova once again, just going to be zoning back the army.
And there's a little bit of a good concave here, but in the end, SKillous just has way too much Protoss. GG is called, and SKillous could be taking that series 2-1. GG.
GG, well played. A very intense back and forth here between SKillous and Nicoract. Went down to the wire, went all the way to the ace match, and in the end SKillous does barely claim it, but a shout out to Nicoract because he made a series out of it. It was very close, very intense, very back and forth, and it did make SKillous work for it.
Yeah, very, very hard. Like you said, Nicoract, he punches up very, very hard in the TVP matchup, and he just absolutely made SKillous bleed in that series.
Oh yeah, he really did. And with that, SKillous, he advances on to the semifinals, but it looks like we already have the upper semifinals ready for us. The rest of the bracket has been progressing, and we've had a lot of updates, and we have our 2 of our top 4 players ready for the next series.
Yeah, top semifinal has been set. It is going to be another TVP, this time Björn versus Gerald. So we wanted to cast a Zerg player today, but unfortunately didn't work out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, just like every Tuna Cup, Smurge, Pappy Smurge. But unfortunately, no Zerg players to remaining in the event. Hopefully we can, get some tomorrow or something. But with that, we do have, as you mentioned, Geralt and Björn in the upper semis.